90.9 CJSW FM. You are tuned into Desi Vibes. My name is Sodhivine, and today on Desi Vibes, we have a very special guest in the booth. His name is Ustad G, and I actually met him at the Alberta Electronic Music Conference that happened last summer, and he is a Punjabi music composer from southern Alberta. And I was like, man, that is just so rare. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, we need to bring you on the show and play some of your music. So, hey, thanks for coming. How's it going?
Thanks for having me, man. It's been great. I'm super excited to be here. It's good to see you again. I don't think we've met since the AIMCOM like last year. So
yeah, totally. Like, we were sitting right by each other at like the convention, which actually happened at the National Music Center. It's a great facility. You guys should, if you're into music, go there, check it out. But yeah, I met you there, and the rest is history. And I found out you were producing music. And so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, where did you go to school and like all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I grew up just a little outside of Calgary, actually, in a town or a city now called Chestermere. So I went to school there, grew up there, found my passion for music there as well. But right now, I'm actually at the U of C. So. Oh, cool.
So what are you taking at the U of C? Are you in music?
No, actually, at U of C, I study geomatics engineering, so a little bit different than what I do behind the scenes. What I do in the daytime is school, and nighttime is music, so a little bit different.
That's great. So that's funny because I'm an engineer too.
That's right, you're a mech eng, right?
And I'm a mechanical engineer. So it's funny, like all these engineers kind of end up in music in some capacity, right? I feel like it's like a technical thing, but it's also like a creative kind of outlook. What do you feel about that?
Conceptually, I think there's a lot of in and outs, design process.
Yeah.
Is huge in music, right? There's a start, there's a finish. You got to cater to your audience, especially in the engineering side of music too, making sure your work sounds good, making sure, different speakers. A lot of it ties into the design process of engineering, so
yeah, totally.
A lot of connections there, yeah.
Totally. No, exactly. I totally resonate with that. So tell me a little bit more about your music background. Like, I know, of course, you produce like South Asian Punjabi music. So how did that kind of come about? Like, why don't you make like different types of music? Why Punjabi? Why do you like Punjabi?
It's funny, actually. I'm classically trained in music. So when I started off in the music scene, I started with classical piano. I could play by ear, so a lot of Mozart, Beethoven, and things like that. But listening-wise, I always had a passion for Punjabi music. It was always kind of playing in the house, in the background, and things like that. And as I grew older, I guess I would just kind of tied those two together. So for me personally, a song doesn't sound complete unless there's like some Punjabi vocals in there or something like that. I can produce anything you want me to, but unless there's any Punjabi-ness in there, then it's kind of incomplete to me. So.
Dude, that's super cool. So we're going to stop talking. We're going to play some of Ustad G's music. This first track is called Mundri Meri. So do you have any words on this one, or let's just play the track?
Mundri, that was my fourth remix. Came out in 2015, so I was 17 years old when I made this track, and
awesome.
It became one of my most popular ones. So let's do it.
All right. Well, let's listen to this. This is Ustad G's remix of Mundri Meri. You are listening to Desi Vibes, and keep it locked. We'll be back. 90.9 CJSW. You are tuned in to Desi Vibes right here. My name is Sodhivine, and today I have a very special guest in the booth. His name is Ustad G, and the last track you just heard was called Mundri Meri, which is actually his production. Cool stuff, man. So you actually made that track when you were 17, hey?
I was 17, yeah. I was in high school. I was finishing up high school, and I had like a week off for exams, but you know how it goes. I didn't use it for exams. I made the song instead, but it turned out to be good. It worked out.
That's awesome. So it's like the summer before university kind of deal?
Pretty much, yeah. It was 2015. That was when it came out, and I just had this idea, and when you have an idea, you're just like, okay, we got to do this.
Yeah.
And, the song really did well. It's really done well for me. It's kind of shaped my sound, and
that's awesome. So where has this song, has it been picked up by radio stations and stuff, or is it followed online?
Mostly the online presence, I think, for this one. With remixes, it's tricky because you can't quite get the clearance for all the samples to release everything. But online it's picked up. I think it's just edging near 1 million on YouTube and something like that.
That's amazing.
400,000 or 500,000 on SoundCloud. So I think Ranjit Kaur, who's the vocalist on the track, has even posted it on their Facebook too. So that's been pretty cool. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So are you looking to like continue making remixes? Like, do you want to leverage this momentum into more remixes? Like, what are you feeling?
The end goal, I think, is being a music producer, and that's kind of what I do, especially with the remixes. I mean, if you really think about the reproductions, I kind of say, like, if this song was to come out today, how would it sound, sort of thing. So it's more of a production thing. So I think going forward, I want to move into music production, still do some remixes, but production game is where I want to be.
Right, so you want to produce, like, your own album or your own EPs?
Exactly, originals.
That's great. That's great. So do you want to end up, because I know you mentioned earlier in the show that you are going to school for geomatics engineering. You're going to be graduating soon. So do you want to continue down the engineering path, or do you want to, let's go, let's make some big records kind of deal?
That's the $1 million question, man. So, if I had it my way, I think you'd know what my answer would be. But it's one of the things with the South Asian community, right? So you gotta kind of do both for a little while.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, I find like a career in engineering or career, like any kind of, quote unquote, traditional career can afford you, of course, like the resources. But I feel like the one thing people always look at is like, man, all my time is going to, engineering, where I kind of love music. So do you find yourself torn between that, or do you love engineering too?
I think I've slowed down. I think the first 2 years, when I was in high school and producing tracks, it was 4 or 5 coming out in a year that I would do. And it was only about a 2-month break where I wouldn't release. But now that it's been in university, it's been a lot less. But mind you, the production behind my songs has changed a lot too. There's a lot more that go into them. But I think the production value's gone up too. So I think part of it's, your time's getting taken away from school, making sure you do well in school.
Yeah.
But the other half is like, okay, your songs are at another level too. It's not just let's make a song in a week and toss it on SoundCloud anymore.
Yeah, so very true.
Both of it takes into consideration, right?
That's cool, man. No, I'm appreciating your insight, and I hope our listeners are also enjoying this. We are going to play the next track. It's called Laddu, and it's by an artist named Gary Sandhu, and this is the Ustad G remix. Any words before we play this bad boy?
It was my first commercial track with these two, so they gave me a shot, and I just ran with it. Hope you like it.
90.9 CJSW FM. You are tuned into Desi Vibes. My name is Sodhivine, and today we have a very special episode. We have music producer Ustad G in the studio with us, and he's actually playing his tracks. Hey man, how's it going?
It's going great, man. Having a blast over here.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. This is fun. I really love your music, so we're representing it right now. So far, we played 2 of his tracks. The first one was called Mundri Meri, which was the Ustad G remix. The second track was called Laddu, Ustad G remix. So can you tell us a little bit more about Laddu? Like, how did that happen? Where did that come from?
Laddu was fun, man. I was actually in class or just sitting there, and I was working with some people to get some original stuff done, and out of the blue they're like, hey, Gary Sandhu's heard your stuff, he likes it, you want to remix one of his songs. And I was like, okay, sure. And Laddu actually the original wasn't even released yet. So they're like, they have this song coming out with Jasmine Sandler's, like, we'll send you the vocals, and then all of a sudden in my chem class I had his vocals, and I just
that's cool,
popped in my headphones, and I was like, okay, let's go, let's do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about your education background and kind of what you're studying, and you're studying geomatics engineering at the U of C, right? And so what year was this?
This was in my first year, second semester now, so it would have been a little over a year ago now. So
wow,
it is back in 2017. So yeah, a little over a year ago. But,
that is cool.
It was, not too long ago.
So when you put out the track, what did people think? Like, where did the track end up going? Like, did you get any good responses?
It wasn't bad. It got delayed a little bit. So, I mean, it was tricky because my original deadline for that song was like 2 weeks. So I, hammered it out, got it done, and then the actual song got delayed. The original did really well, and I think maybe that's why. But when mine came out, it's done well. It's attracted, I think, a new base of listeners. My followers have really liked it too. I think mostly for me, it would kind of was able to take the next step and work in the commercial scene a little bit more. So I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point, because working kind of for fun and then working in a commercial scene is like a different beast altogether.
It's
so
way different, yeah.
What did you feel about that? Did you like that? Were you like, it's too much pressure? What did you feel?
It was, as soon as I got the deadline, they're like, "Okay, can you have it done?" First, it was like 2-3 days, and I was like, "This isn't happening in 2-3 days," right? So I said, "Give me 2 weeks." But it was tricky to get it on a deadline. Not only that, is from a mixing standpoint, from an engineering standpoint, sound engineering standpoint, like you're all of a sudden in the big leagues. Like you got to make a song that's gonna, when it's paired up to the next song, it sounds like it's a commercial track. So that was the tricky part, was actually mixing it. I mixed the track myself, so that was the hardest part.
Yeah, of course, because, well, hey, that's awesome that you did all that in-house, and, you play that track after a commercial, quote-unquote, they're both commercial tracks, but if you play that track after, like, a professionally, quote-unquote, done track, you can't really tell a difference, and that's great. Like, that's where you want your tracks to be, right, as you said.
It was a learning experience. I mean, those guys pushed me as well on WhatsApp, the nice voice notes from Gary Sandhu saying, do this, try that, try this. So I definitely learned a lot from the artists working with them.
Right.
But yeah, just keep moving forward. Now every track I do, I try and keep it at the same standard.
Right. That's awesome. Hey, good for you. We're gonna play more Ustad G tracks right here. So the next track I'm gonna play is an original track. It's called Delete. Can you tell us a little bit more about this track?
Delete's my most recent track. Came out in June with an awesome artist, DSB from Punjab, another young artist there. So it was a fun track to do, completely original. So
oh, yeah?
Hope you like
okay.
It,
yeah, let's listen to it. So next up is Delete by Ustad G and DSB. 90.9 CJSW FM. You are tuned in to Desi Vibes. My name is Sodhivine, and today we have a very special guest in the booth. His name is Ustad G, and we have been playing his tracks today. We've played 3 of his tracks so far. The first one was called Mundri Meri, Ustad G remix. The second was called Laddu, Ustad G remix. And this last one that you just heard is an original track. It's called Delete. Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going great, man.
So can you tell us a little bit more about Delete? Like, how did this come about? Like, how did you contact this person in India to sing the track?
Delete was actually made around the same time as Laddu originally, so last year. So while I was working on Laddu, the same kind of team of people introduced me to DSB, the artist over in Punjab over there. And so he actually wrote the track first, and he sent me a demo of it, and I was like, okay, I can work with this. So, but anyone who listens to DSB will be able to, his fingerprints are all over that track. So, yeah.
That's cool. So, you got introduced to him?
Yeah, I got introduced to him. I heard his sample of the song, and then I just started chatting with him, and I was like, okay, we'll reproduce this. I gave him an idea, and we went from there, so...
Yeah, that's super cool, and I'm always intrigued when collaborations like this happen. Obviously this person, DSB, was in a different continent, in a different part of the world, and we're sitting here, like, you produce music out of Chestermere, Alberta, and there's a lot of people scattered all over the world making music. So what do you feel as going into this new age, the role of the music producer is changing, because now you no longer have to be kind of in the same studio with the artist. So how do you feel? Do you feel empowered by that, or do you feel like kind of there's too much competition? What do you feel?
It's funny because I've actually never worked with an artist in studio before, so I have almost nothing to compare it to. But I think it's a good thing, though, because you can connect with people so quick. I got his vocals, and within a minute they're in my studio, and we're talking live, and we're going back and forth. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing. I think competition overall is a good thing, especially in the Punjabi scene, where you kind of have the same 4 or 5 people making the same 4 or 5 beats. So I think the competition is a good thing. There's so many upcoming artists. There's Upside Down, Prophecies from Calgary as well, Mickey Singh. All of these guys are kind of changing the game for us right now, so it's a good thing.
That's true. Yeah. So So leveraging that as a producer from, Calgary, Chestermere area, do you find, like, would you want to move to, like, say, LA or Toronto, or do you want to stay here and produce music from here?
I think it's in the cards, man. I just got back from Toronto too, and I met up with DJ M, who's out there, and he actually knew who I was, so that was pretty cool. I knew who he was, and we were talking, and the scene is out there.
Yeah,
there's a community out there. There's sort of a base out there. There's Sid the Musiala's out there. Big Bird, like there's already, even in English music too. The Weeknd's from out east. Drake, Party Next Door, all these guys.
Totally.
So I think if you really want to be serious about it and you really want to make connections, you do kind of have to move or make a base here in Calgary. And get some artists together and say, hey, let's do something.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And this is not just, I mean, I'm really happy you mentioned non-Desi artists as well, because there's so many artists in Canada. I feel like Canada's such a powerhouse. Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, Drake, Celine Dion. All these people are from Canada. That's just mentioning, just four off the top of my head.
Those are big players in the game too,
those are huge players, right? So to kind of live in their shadows in a way, even though we're in a completely different genre, to live in their shadows and be like, hey, this is possible for Canadians. Like, you don't have to be, Quincy Jones to make a hit record.
No, exactly, yeah.
You can be Justin Bieber from, rural Ontario.
Yeah. Probably like Alicia Keys from Brampton. So
yeah, amazing.
There you go, right? So,
so exactly. So what would you like to see as a music producer coming up in, I want to say, quote unquote, small town Alberta in a way? We're not from Toronto, we're not from Vancouver. What would you like to see in the city to kind of help develop that scene here in Calgary?
I think Bell Studio was a big step forward for Calgary. The National Music Center in Bell Studio.
Yeah.
But I think after going to Toronto and Montreal and seeing the scene there, like, you need these sort of little clubs that happen.
Yeah.
Especially in Montreal, there's like these small comedy clubs and things like that. Nothing big, but just some platform for artists to kind of start on and meet new people
and be showcased
and things like that. And in both English and Punjabi market, you kind of need these, just these little small pop-up opportunities for artists to start stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope people are listening today and they have ideas. If you guys have ideas, or if you have anything to add to our discussion here, I'm really happy what we're talking about. Please text us 403-220-3991. That's 403-220-3991. And actually, we have a text right now. I'm going to read it out. It says, "Hi, great talent. My question is, how old was Ustad G when he started experimenting with music? Does he play different instruments? And if we want to learn more, get in touch with him, how can we do that?" So that's 3 questions.
3 questions, jeez, okay. How did I get started in music was the first
How old were you?
How old was I? I was 3. I was 3 years old. And I could play by ear. So I think it was my mom who noticed me playing Feuillis by Beethoven.
Amazing.
Just by ear, and she's like, "Oh wow, this is cool." So I started classical piano lessons from 3. The music production itself, I was about grade 7 around that time. So I kind of quit piano lessons. I studied theory, music theory, how to read and write it, and then it was music production from there. So
nice. And so the second question was, do you play any different instruments?
Yeah, I do. So apart from the keyboard and piano, I play the thumbi, which is a 1-stringed instrument, a Punjabi instrument. If you ever listen to Beware the Bad Boys, Jay-Z and Punjabi MC, it's the main instrument in that.
Oh, yeah.
I can play the dhol, which is a double-barrel drum. And is there anything else I can play? The harmonium, I guess you can toss that in there too. I can play the harmonium. Nice.
And the last question. We want to get in touch with you, Ustad G.
You want to get in touch with me? The best place would be on my website, www.ustadgofficial.com. So USTADG official.com. You can read more about me there. You can find phone numbers, email address, contact forms, music, all you need to find about me.
Awesome. And thank you to the person that texted in.
Thank you. Awesome questions.
In. Yeah. Please continue to text us. The time is now 6:36 p.m. We're like halfway through the show. We have one more Ustad G track on the deck. It's called Ddot Duck. So What do you have to say about this track?
I mean, I don't want to talk on behalf of my listeners or anything, but I think this is their favorite one. I think this is when people think of Ustad G or Mohan Lall music, this is the one that comes to mind. So hope you guys like it.
Awesome. So let's listen to this track. It's called Ddot Duck by Ustad G. And yeah, keep it locked on Desi Vibes. .9 CJSW FM. You are tuned into Desi Vibes. We are on air right now with a very special person, a music producer from Calgary. His name is Ustad G, and the last 4 tracks we played were his. So the first track we played is the Mundri Meri Ustad G remix. The second track was called Laddu Ustad G remix. The third track was called Delete. This last track was called Ddot Duck. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man.
I'm so happy you were able to make it today. I know I've wanted to bring you on the show for a while now, ever since we met at the Alberta Electronic Music Conference last year, because I just find it really special that, you know, we have music producers in Calgary. I'm like, man, we should put them on, you know? So I'm really happy you were able to make it. So tell us about that last track.
Ddot Duck, yeah, that was I think like it was originally a remix. So the original was sung by Surinder Kaur and Harcharan Garewal, and so that track came out, and like Mundri Meri, it was like a huge experimental track. Like it has nothing to do with the original. It was just like, let's tear this track apart and redo it again. But that track, it became a hit, but I think it became a hit like for me personally, and people were like, hey, who made this track? And they found me, and then they found Mundri, and they're like, oh, it's the same guy. And then so I think after this track came out is when I started to build sort of a following.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's really inspiring. So as a music producer, you know, you've obviously built a following. So what kind of insight do you have for our listeners if maybe they want to be Ustad G? What kind of advice would you give to them on, you know, creating great tracks or creating and cultivating a following?
You gotta find your niche, man. That's the main thing. I think it's cool to have your influences and things like that, but at the end of the day, you gotta make something that's new, that's different, and then people will kind of respect you for being different in a sense, right? So
right.
I think Mundri and Ddot Duck are 2 examples of that, because they're different tracks. Nothing quite like that existed before, and it was kind of just me remixing folk tracks, reproducing folk tracks like that. So you kind of have to do that and brand yourself as, hey, this is what I can do, and this is my brand, and then you'll build a following naturally that way.
That's true. Mm-hmm. No, that's very true, and I think that's how a lot of these big artists came up and kind of dominated, because they were just being themselves and just doing what they love to do, and then that just, you know, became a thing on its own. Definitely, man. A good analogy is if you think about like car brands. If you think about like BMW, like what do you think? You think fast, reliable, good driving car. Think of like a Mercedes or something, it's luxury and things like that. So these brands you think of a brand and you kind of get these sort of terms to describe it, right? It's the same thing for music too. You think of your favorite artist, you kind of think of, okay, what does that artist deliver? So for yourself, you kind of have to say, okay, well, what's my brand? True. What am I gonna provide, right? So what is the Ustad G brand? The Ustad G brand, that's a tricky one to answer. I don't know. I think the people listening to me can probably answer that one better. I think at the end of the day, you always find sort of a familiar sound in my music. There's always sort of a familiarity there, but it has whether it's like electronic vibe to it or this sort of acoustic swing sort of to it, and very melodious too. I like melodious songs. That's cool, man. No, I think that describes it perfectly. Like the 4 tracks we played were very heavy on the melody. Absolutely. I think that's what can make a track special, right? Anyone can just program the same drum beat, but if you can come up with something new in melody, that can really carry through. So we actually just got another another question.
All right.
So this question asks, who do you want to work with next? And would you ever produce English music?
Good question. Who do I want to work with next? I think there's
It could be anybody.
Anyone. I'm gonna have to pick Rashi Sood, who's, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's another artist from India, Punjab as well, and she's just has a crazy, phenomenal voice. Like, it's insanely insane. Yeah. So if I could work with her next, that'd be awesome.
Well, shout out to Rashi Sood. I'm sure she's listening to this, and if she's not,
gotta get your head
send
straight,
her send her a link to this show, CJSW.com, and she will work with you. Hopefully,
Rashi, let's do it.
Let's make a track. Yeah.
And then there was a second part to that question, I think.
Yeah,
English music.
Yeah,
I'd be down. I mean, to me, music's music. You sing it in whatever language you want. I'll just produce the beat in the background, right? So, but I think if the vibe was there, my style doesn't change. Whether you're singing Punjabi or English, my style would be the same. So I'd be down to make an English track. And if it kind of fit with my plans, and yeah, I'd be down.
That's awesome, man. That is super cool. And I'm proud of you that you're in the city. You're making Punjabi music, you're getting out there, getting involved, putting out quality music. That's what we need right now. That's what Punjabi music needs right now. And as you said, we have kind of 4 or 5 guys in the industry that kind of are running, 90% of the hits. But that variety, that competition is really what can drive the innovation behind it, right?
It's big, yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome that you're producing music. So what's next? What's coming out? I want to hear more Ustad G. So how can I, what should I look out for?
What's next? I think the people who really enjoyed the folk remixes will be happy because more of those are coming out. It'll be a mixtape that's coming out hopefully by the end of summer. So a whole compilation, maybe 8-9 tracks we're aiming for.
8-9 tracks?
Yeah, so full
amazing
mixtape. Folk artists, so your Kuldeep Moniks, your Durko artists, Muhammad Sadiqs. So that's
Great.
What's next. And then, of course, original tracks are always coming out. So get more of those. And trying to do behind-the-scenes series for YouTube, too. So
right. So where can we find your stuff? Remind us.
Biggest place, easiest place is YouTube, I think. YouTube.com/Ustad G official. You'll find everything.
Sweet.
Music videos, songs, singles, everything you want there.
So that's youtube.com/USTADG. That's USTADG.
Official.
Official.
Yeah. You gotta tell us that.
Ustad G official.
Yeah.
That's right. So hey, we're gonna keep talking to Ustad G here. The time is now 6:48 p.m. in Calgary. So we've got around 12 minutes left in our show. So please keep it locked. We're gonna keep bringing great music for you, and we're gonna keep the ball rolling in all these interesting discussions on music, Punjabi music, English music. Where do we see the scene in Calgary going? I think these are the questions we got to ask ourselves as we grow into a bigger city. And thank you so much to everyone texting in. We still have 12 minutes, so please continue to text in. We can answer your questions right now. 90.9 CJSW FM. You are tuned in to Desi Vibes. My name is Sodhivine. And today was actually a very special episode because we had a very special guest in the studio, and his name is Ustad G.
What's up, man? It's been fun. It goes by so quick.
Yeah, we only got 5 minutes left in the show. Today we played 4 of your tracks. The first track was called Laddu, which is an Ustad G. The first track was called Mundri Meri, Ustad G remix. The second track was called Laddu, Ustad G remix. The third track, an original, was called Delete. And the fourth track, another original, was called Ddot Duck. So if you want more of Ustad G's music, you can check it out, man. Tell them where.
My website's the easiest way, UstadGofficial.com. You can find all the music videos, singles, download links. You can read about me if you want. Look at pictures of me.
Perfect. And how do you spell that?
USTADG official.com.
Perfect. Yeah. You guys, you got to go out. You got to check out his music. Support the local talent here in Calgary. It's very special to have producers in the city making waves like this. So when they do, we gotta help them. We gotta support them and help them do what they love doing. And Ustad G, he's actually a student as well at the University of Calgary, which makes it even more special. And so, we want to support you. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and sending us your tracks and, just coming through.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you. It's good to hang out. I'll be back soon.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. No, we love to have you. So we have 3 minutes left in the show. We actually have one last question just messaged in. So it's the last question we're going to have for today. It says, would you ever remix old English songs and different artists like rock and soul and other countries? Would you want to learn new instruments with these music genres?
Maybe. I think, like I was saying earlier, the end goal is music production and original tracks. So I think like the Punjabi folk scene's kind of given me an outlet. But I've always kind of had like Hindi music in the back of my head. Maybe if we do like Hindi, old Bollywood songs and things like that. But I think in terms of music's endless, man. It doesn't have to be a remix. You can sample a track. Yeah. You can learn instruments whenever you want. So
absolutely,
when it comes to music, I feel like I'm pretty limitless. I'll go for whatever. But I mean, if that's what people want to hear, I'm always down. You can always send me a request at my website too if you wanted to. Just drop a line, and if there's something you want to hear redone, let me know.
Absolutely, yes. Please go to his website, check out his music. USTADGofficial.com. And once again, hey, thank you so much for coming in, man. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. We have 2 minutes left on our show. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone? Any last words you want to say before we sign out?
Shout out to you, first of all. Sodhivine for having me, man. Yeah. You
shout out to me,
yeah. But no, all my listeners, all the people who support me, my family, of course, shout out to those guys. There's more stuff coming out, so don't go anywhere. Keep listening. Yeah, shout out to everyone listening, and yes, thank you so much for listening today to Desi Vibes. We are on air every Tuesday, 6 to 7 p.m. This week it was me, Sodhivine. Next week it will be Roop. So make sure you guys tune in next week at 7, or sorry, not 7. Well, tune in at 7 too. Tune in at 6 as well. Check out Desi Vibes. We got Carrie in the booth ready to go with her show coming up next, Tombstone After Dark. So please do not go away. Stick around and check out the great beats. My name is Sodhivine. Thank you so much for listening, and take care.